That afternoon, the shelter was quiet, broken only by the occasional barking of dogs and the distant meowing of cats. Rows of metal cages lined the walls, each one containing a soul yearning for love. Some had lost hope, while others still wagged their tails when someone walked by. Amidst these forgotten souls was a thin, trembling, and scruffy dog named Rusty. He had once had an owner, but his scars and skittish demeanor spoke of neglect and pain. Rusty had been at the shelter for months, and, despite the volunteers' best efforts, no one had come forward to adopt him. The shelter had a rule. If a dog wasn't adopted within 6 months, they would face the heartbreaking decision of euthanasia. Rusty's time was running out, but fate had different plans. 8-year-old Emily skipped into the shelter, her golden curls bouncing with each step. She held her father's hand tightly, here he's sparkling with excitement. Ever since learning about shelters, she had pleaded with her parents to let her adopt a dog. "Are you sure you're ready for this, sweetheart?" her father James asked. "Yes, Daddy. I want to save a dog that nobody else wants," Emily declared with determination. The shelter worker, a kind elderly woman named Martha, led them through the rows of cages. Emily smiled and waved at each dog, but her heart was drawn to the very last cage in the corner. Inside, Rusty sat curled up, his head resting on his paws, his deep brown eyes filled with sadness and fear. Unlike the other dogs, he didn't jump up or wag his tail when he saw her. He simply stared, as if he had already accepted his fate. Emily knelt down, pressing her tiny fingers against the cold bars. "Hi there," she whispered softly. Rusty lifted his head slightly, his ears twitching. Martha sighed. "That's Rusty. The poor boy's been through so much. He's scheduled for euthanasia tomorrow." Emily's heart sank. "No, that can't happen." She turned to her father, her eyes pleading. "Daddy, we have to save him." James hesitated. Rusty was visibly scared and untrusting. "Sweetheart, are you sure? He looks broken." Emily nodded. "But he's not. He just needs love." James sighed, smiling. "All right, let's take him home." Bringing Rusty home was not as simple as Emily had imagined. The dog was terrified of everything. Loud noises, sudden movements, even the gentle touch of a hand. He barely ate, spent most of his time hiding under the table, and flinched whenever someone approached. Emily didn't give up. Every day she sat near him, reading stories, offering treats, and speaking to him in a soft voice. Slowly, Rusty began to trust her. The first time Rusty wagged his tail, Emily cried. When he let her pet him for the first time, her parents knew she had achieved something special. But Rusty's journey was far from over. One evening, Emily and her mother went out for groceries, while James stayed home to fix something in the garage. Rusty lay on his bed near the door, his ears perked up slightly. A shocking night that changed everything. Suddenly, the front door creaked open. A masked man stepped inside, and Rusty tensed, instincts kicking in. The man tiptoed toward the living room, scanning the area. At first, he didn't notice Rusty until a loud, menacing growl escaped him. The intruder froze, while Rusty stood up, his body tense and lips curled back. The fear that had once dominated his life was gone. He wasn't that broken dog anymore. He was Emily's protector. With a deep bark, Rusty lunged. The intruder stumbled back, knocking over a vase. Hearing the commotion, James rushed inside to find Rusty barking fiercely, standing between the stranger and the rest of the house. Panicked, the man dashed out the door, disappearing into the night. James knelt beside Rusty, his heart racing. "Good boy," he whispered, stroking his fur. Rusty looked up at him, his tail wagging proudly. News of Rusty's bravery spread quickly. The police commended him for scaring off the intruder, and the local newspaper even published an article about him. "Unwanted dog saves family from home invasion. Rusty, the unlikely hero." The shelter staff were astonished. The same dog who had been deemed too scared to be adopted had turned into a hero. People began to view shelter dogs differently, realizing that even the most broken souls could discover healing and purpose. But to Emily, Rusty was more than a hero. He was her best friend. One night, as Emily lay in bed, Rusty jumped up beside her, curling into a ball. She wrapped her arms around him, whispering, "I love you, Rusty." For the first time in his life, Rusty felt truly safe, and he never looked back. Even the most broken souls can heal when they are given love and a second chance. Sometimes, the ones we save end up saving us in return. Moral of the story, even the most. Broken souls can heal when given love and a second chance. Sometimes the ones we save end up saving us in return.